Welcome to the Sex Reimagined podcast, where sex is shame-free and pleasure-forward. Let's get into the show.
Well, this is just one of my, all-time favorite topics. I don't think people realize or think about the quality of their touch very often.
No.
And
They
neither do
have
people
no
really
idea.
Right.
They don't think about it at all.
We don't think of it as a skill set. We don't think of it as a method. But we're going to break that down for you today, because I know if you get to the end of this episode, you are going to actually see how much value there is in getting some training regarding the quality of your touch. I mean, you want to capture your partner's attention. You don't want them drifting off.
Definitely not.
Counting the cobwebs in the corner.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, it's one of the most important things I think that we could learn when it comes to intimacy. And also it creates this deep sense of safety when somebody knows how to touch you in a way that you can really lean into and rest into. And that sense of safety in your nervous system is what opens you up to all different kinds of pleasure and rapture and ecstatic sensations in your skin. I love it when Leah says, all these experts out there in the field are saying the most important sexual orgasm or organ in your body is your brain, but she's always like, I think it's your skin. And so, skin, brain, they're super important. We got to get these things on board.
Yeah, so to keep it simple, think of these modalities of touch as having 5. There's just 5, but there's countless permutations to each one. And you want to think about, the Tantra master has these 7 levels of how they touch with these 5 modalities. And when I say 7 levels, what I'm referring to is pressure and speed. So let's just bring up our first modality, caress. Everyone knows how to caress, but most people caress in like an up and down, and up and down form, which, to be honest with you, isn't all that interesting. When you caress, you can caress with shapes. You can do spirals and circles and triangles. You can caress with deep pressure or light pressure. So the Tantra master would have 7 levels of pressure. You can caress fast or super slow. And the Tantra master would have 7 levels of speed. But for the rest of us, let's just think of these levels in 3s. We've got slow, medium, fast, and we've got deep, medium, and light pressure.
And what's important to know when starting to caress and touch your partner is that their version of light and your version of light might be very different from one another. So it's really important. I am often saying to people, lighter, softer, less pressure. And they'll take their hand off, so far, and I'll be like, even lighter, even less pressure. So what's really useful and helpful is for me to take my hand onto their skin and just show them what lighter and softer means to me.
Such good advice. That nonverbal communication is so important because the pressure and speed is very subjective. What's light to somebody else is hard to somebody else. Good tip. The other thing you want to think about when you're thinking about touching, and there's lots of ways to touch. You can touch with your full body. You can touch with your breath. But in this case, when we think of touching, we think about touching with our hands. So there are 4 parts to the hand. There's the heel of the hand. There's the palm of the hand, there's the fingertips, and there's the back of the hand. And every single one of these different parts of the hand create a different sensation. When we massage someone with the heel of our hand, it can apply a lot more pressure. When we lean our body weight, we can take out a lot of tension with the heel of our hand. When we touch someone with the palm we can spiral energy out the center of our palm. When we touch someone with our fingertips, the touch can be much lighter. Think tickle touch or slight scratches. And then the back of the hand has a different type of texture than the palm of the hand. And then there's all the permutations of combining these different parts of the hand with your touch. So if we just think about caress, for instance, think of all the ways you can play with caress using these 4 different parts of your hand. And now think about the different types of pressure you can add to caress and the different types of speed in combination with these 4 different parts of the hand. And now you've got a limitless variety. And variety is so key. Why? Because like we said in the beginning, it captures your partner's attention. And our attention has been trained to be terrible in the last 10 years. All of us, we do way too much scrolling. And honey, if you cannot capture your lover's attention with variety, you are missing the boat. Sex is, I'm really concerned about this actually.
I know, I am too. I agree with you. I mean, I think that, touch is it's a lost art, especially after post-COVID and with the younger generation. I mean, they're really not getting an opportunity to learn caress, to learn to touch. I often will get younger clients coming through and I'm like, okay, let's start with learning how to use your hands, like learning how to attune to somebody else's body through the sensation in your hands. Like to focus and to attune means to pay attention, right? So placing all of your attention and all of your awareness right where the place where the palm of your hand or fingertips or back of the hand are connecting with that person's body part. Nothing else matters.
So true. Attunement is such an incredible and essential key to doing this well. I want to go back to what you said earlier, because when you think about how are people learning to have sex these days, they get a shitty reproductive class in middle school, and then they watch porn. And the problem with porn is that it doesn't teach you nuance. And so what we're talking about here is learning how to touch with nuance. I think this is essential to opening up female bodies, yoni-owning bodies, because there's a certain amount of sexual tension that we want to be good at, and touch is really key to amping up that sexual tension. One of the ways that you can do that is getting close to erogenous zones and kind of tempting. I'm going to get closer, get closer, and then I go away. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to get even more close and even more close. And then I'm going to go away. And
it's
so
you can...
Anticipation all day long.
Yum,
Sometimes
yum, yum.
Anticipation is better than the actual
even
thing.
better. Yeah, exactly. Well, depending on where you are on the sexual blueprint type. Right.
True.
Yeah.
So then we go to another modality of touch, which would be squeezing, kneading, compression touch, where if you were going to do a full-handed squeeze, you would use the palm, the heel, and the fingers to squeeze the shoulders, right? Like you could take out the tension and squeeze.
Like a massage kind of touch.
Feels
and
so
knead.
Good. It feels so good. But squeezing goes even further. If we take a look at like the modalities, right? We're taking a look at how do we create variety? There's the pinching. You can pinch someone and it tells your partner, hey, meet me right here. It's also different than using the full hand. It's just using the fingertips. And so think about where could pinching be so erotic? Sometimes we think of pinching and we think pinching, I don't want to be pinched.
No, thanks.
But there are places to pinch and to grab a handful of something and to squeeze it and knead it and open it. So I'll let your imagination run wild with what to pinch and squeeze and open.
And knead and expand. Yeah. I mean, God, that feels so good. And so, we're going to go through 3 more modalities in a moment here, but for these first 2, caress and then kneading, if you intersperse them together, do a little kneading and a little bit of pinchy here and there, and then go back to caress and soft in other places of the body, that is going to keep someone's attention. They're going to be present. They're going to be paying attention. They're going to be living right where their hands are touching their skin.
Moving on. Now we have a whole masterclass on these modalities of touch. And so there's lots of little things that we don't have time to include in this episode, but we want to get you started. But one of the keys that's happening in the masterclass is to share with you the difference between like therapeutic touch and how to make touch sensual and sexual, how to use it to amp up arousal. So we want to plug that seed with you. But moving on to the third modality is scratching, the creative use of the nails.
I love scratching. I love the sensation and the heat and the energy that it brings to the surface of the skin. It's like so exhilarating. And I think a lot of I know for myself, I'll say, I don't know about everyone else out there, but it took me a long time to kind of like get into scratching, like I just,
Really?
yeah, it's just something that wasn't in my repertoire for most of my sexual life. And now I just find it to be so fun. And every time that, I'm scratching or bringing someone else to attention through the nails, like, boy, is it such an incredible response that comes through.
Well, let's take a look at scratching from the modality of pressure. So if you were at a level 1 scratch, you wouldn't even be scratching the skin, you would be scratching the hair. And so just imagine the sensation of just scratching the hair of someone's arm or leg. Like it's almost like effervescent. It's
like
almost
tickle.
ticklish.
Yeah, it's like a little tickle.
It's a great way to really refine your skill set in pressure. So then what would a level 2 scratch be? Well, you're just barely getting to the top of the skin. It still kind of tickles. And then a level 3 would be like, oh God, now we're getting somewhere. Now I feel satisfied. This itch is getting scratched. And then 4, it's even more like, oh God, that feels so good. I mean, just imagine a level 3 and 4 scratch to your scalp. Like when you're at the hairdressers and they're scratching and massaging the top of your hair as they get the shampoo and conditioner out, it's like a moment of bliss. It feels so good. I
used
love
to say to my hairdresser, I used to say to her, you should be a professional head massager. Yeah. And she was like, I am.
Totally. I love a nice scratch down my ribs, down my waist, the length of my waist when it's really long down my hips. Scratching can be great. And then
I like it on the soles of my feet.
Ooh,
yeah, it's like ticklish. It's good.
Maybe that's not true. Maybe I do like that. Maybe if it's like at a level 3, but I wouldn't want scratchy scratch so that brings us to a level 5 scratch, right? Like that's what keeps me out on my feet. Ooh, it's like 5 is like exfoliating.
I like the exfoliation.
Wow, I won't yuck your yum, honey. No way. 6, when we look at the pressure scale, leaves a mark. Okay. Mm-hmm. So think of like a hickey would leave a mark, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like a level 6, right? You can kind of see it when like you scratch really hard.
Line. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the pink goes white wherever you scratched. Then we have level 7, and we wouldn't recommend this except for those who are very advanced. The blood draw. Yes. That's so you kind of think of that as a good scale for your pressure. Okay, that's scratching.
So we got caressing, we got kneading, not needling, but kneading. And then we got scratching. Next
is one that you probably are not very familiar with or you don't think about it, and that is percussion. Mm-hmm. So, and slapping. You're probably maybe a little familiar with a little bit of slapping, a little spanking. Yeah. So there's some skill when it comes to percussion. When you want to spank or slap, you want to cup your hand. By cupping your hand, sorry, I don't know if you're not watching this and you're listening to it. I don't know how much you can hear me slapping my upper arm, but wherever there's fatty or muscly bits is where you can handle more of a slap. And when you cup your hand, you're going to create more sound. And sometimes that sound is like more interesting than the actual hit. I kind of like it when something's really loud, but it doesn't sting quite as hard. And there's also different levels of stinging. People love a stinging sensation. And that's because the place in your brain that lights up when there's pleasure is the same place in your brain that lights up when there's pain. And that's why pleasure and pain kind of are delicious when it comes to erotic experiences. So we've got slapping, which is a full palm type of experience of percussion, but then you can tap with just your fingertips, and tapping along the body feels like rain on a tin roof. It's a totally different type of experience, that percussive Vibration, tapping sends sort of a vibration through the system. Tapping is really great for erogenous zones like the G-spot and the prostate gland and the clitoris, that thump, thump, thump. When someone are using things like floggers, people love floggers because of the thuddy feel of each hit. It can feel like a deep massage. It can be very delicious. On big muscle groups especially.
Yeah. Feels so good on the back. It feels super good on the ass. It feels, really good to spank and to thump and to use your fingertips like raindrops and to vary all of these things. Use the full palm of your hand, then go to fingertips. If you've got something that you're playing with in the flogging realm or even in the crop realm, it can be so much fun to bringing attention to your partner's body, bringing them to their body. It's a great way to get out of your head and into your body.
I think the next one, I believe, is the most important, especially after a percussive experience, be it slapping, tapping, or pinching, which is stillness. To follow up one of the movement strokes with a still touch modality is so important. And I think stillness is actually the most underrated modalities, but I think it's the most important. Why is stillness important to you?
Well, as a longtime craniosacral therapist, I've done so many different kinds of massage, Thai massage and Tuina massage and all these sort of more vigorous kinds of healing modalities over the years. And every time I'm doing a deep cranial session, which is really much stillness, really just holding your hands very still and listening to the craniosacral rhythm that's moving through that person's body, that is where all the healing happens. Like that's where all the reset happens. That's where their whole entire skeletal structure drops back into alignment, where their nervous system completely resets. And so similarly, when I'm in a Tantra session and I've just zhuzhed everything up and their capillaries are filled with blood and they've just had all this sensation all over their skin, all over their body, and they're just like really feeling hot and like awake and alive. And then you just hold, and it's like all the energy that you just woke up now gets a chance to run on its own, and you just hold it there in stillness while the energy does what it's gonna do. And it's fun to see like what kind of things reset in those moments. Sometimes emotions come up in those moments, sometimes laughter, sometimes tears, sometimes just the breath starts to deepen a lot more, or sometimes a sigh will come out, sometimes a scream will come out, so it's really cool. Yeah, it's just so cool to see how then their body, they also will like sometimes shift their physical body into a place that's so much more delicious and comfortable for them. It's almost like something has awakened inside, and now nature can take over and bring them to a higher state.
Well said. I think through stillness, it allows someone to catch up to the present moment. It allows someone's body and psyche to unite so that they can deeply feel the experience that they're having. I think sometimes we're so in a rush to get something done, like get it up, get it in, get it off. We're forgetting to feel. And this is where I think nuance is essential. Like nuance often happens in the stillness. Nuance happens in the breath. Nuance happens in that integrative moment where you can feel the tension of the moment through the stillness. It's like you need stillness to allow something to build and to unfold. And if all you do is go from one thing to the next thing, then one thing to the next thing, and try this technique and that technique, and you kind of confuse and scramble the receiver a bit, and you don't let them catch up to their experience, you're missing the boat on something really essential. And I think deeper intimacy grows and becomes more profound in that space of stillness. When you stop doing all the doing and you allow the experience to be about being, there's something that can only be captured there. It can't be captured anywhere else, and it's magical.
Yeah, well, it's, similar when you're kissing, when you're making out with somebody and it's like all the yum yums and your tongues and your lips and everything's happening, right? And then all of a sudden you just come to this moment of pause and you just sit there and your lips are just pressed together or your mouth is open together or you're like tips
kind of breathing,
touching and breathing together. And you're just in that and you pause. And yeah, that is where the intimacy deepens. Of course, when you were talking, Leah, I started thinking like, wow, this is, I always liken everything to the seasons, right? And so this is the winter season. And I always say in the winter season, the stillness, it's like, this is the one that everyone misses. Like they might do the fall phase where they clear and let go and get rid of everything, but then they jump right into the spring and they want to create and build and bring it all back in again. So, this stillness phase, this winter phase is where recalibration happens. It's where we get to come back to who am I now? Who am I in this beingness and this true present moment?
A great example is hugging, the embrace. We go to hug someone and it's either like a big tap tap and then you break away really fast. Like I always watch this, especially with men and younger guys too. And every once in a while they come around and there's a few younger guys in and it's like it's almost like a chest bump.
Yeah.
No, come in here. Full body, just sink in
and breathe.
Teddy bear hug.
Yeah.
We come in, we soften, we feel each other, take a deep breath. No patting there. It's not grandma's hug. It's a, come into embrace. Don't let your hips stick out. It's okay to have your hips
not an A-frame
tucked
hug.
in. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't have to be necessarily a big tantric hug, but allow a present moment and a breath to occur.
Yeah.
Bring someone in, both people drop, you share a breath or two, you let everything soften, and you're like, hey, friend, we're so undertouched, we're so undernourished in this way in our very individualistic world where communities are getting smaller and smaller and so many people don't feel like they are connected to community. And I think the hug is a really important thing to think about. We don't think about it. We don't think about what makes a good hugger. And I can tell you, I just described some things that make a good hugger. Slow it down, have a breath, soften your body, don't be an A-frame, and take somebody in. Let them feel you. Have a moment of like soul to soul recognition, like you matter. For just a breath in someone's embrace. It doesn't mean it's creepy. And the way that you make sure it's not creepy and not slimy is you're not like slobbering over someone and deep breathing in their ear or inappropriate groping. You're just taking a breath with somebody and you're allowing your body to soften in that embrace. I think that's really key. I think the other thing is a little bit of a mindset. Teddy bear vibe is a good mindset to have when you're coming to hug someone, or big brother, big sister, or a mom, dad hug. It feels supportive and compassionate. Yeah. It's, unless it's someone who you want to be sexy with, there is a difference between a sensual, sexy tantric hug and just a warm, friendly embrace. What could you articulate about the two?
Well, definitely. First thing I would say is anytime you get a good hug from somebody, you get a little release of oxytocin through your body. So that is
that's a gift.
Total valuable thing because your whole nervous system then is flooded in relaxation and connection. And then, I would say, like sexy vibe tantric hug is it's probably going to have some sound to it. It's definitely going to have some deeper breath to it. It's definitely going to have pelvises to pelvises.
Right. You might press someone's sacrum towards your pelvis.
You might put your hands on the backs of their chakras, that kind of thing. And maybe there's a little sway and it's going to be longer,
Right.
But it is a really good idea,
you might smell someone's hair or neck and the
Totally.
Inhale,
And
yeah.
if you're not to that place with somebody, but you'd like to be, then you probably want to put on a different archetype on at first. You
Yeah.
want to put on that big brother, big sister archetype first, and just
Yeah, make
go
it
in
safe.
for that like safety hug,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also very present, so that when they leave your arms, they're leaving better than when they entered.
Really encourage, if you have a good hug with somebody, say, God, you're a good hugger.
Yeah, it's good to
Affirm
let people
them that
know.
that was a
Yeah.
really nice hug. I think we need to share that affirmation and give that feedback. I have a memory of a hug that goes down as the best hug of my life.
How
That
long ago
hug
was it?
left a huge impression on me. I was 17 or 18 years old. I was a senior
Wow.
in high
Okay.
school.
Uh-huh.
And this guy came, I was working at a thrift store, and this guy came in. He was a bongo drummer. You might have heard me talk about a
Oh,
bongo
we
drummer
know
in the
about the
past.
bongo drummer.
He just, it was like he came in with his big old lumberjack arms, and it was like he scooped me up, and I just felt like he inhaled me. And it was like, I was the kind of hug I melted right into it. It was such a welcome hug.
It was the hug of
And
all
I mean, it
hugs.
helped that I was attracted to him too.
Yeah. If there's chemistry,
Oh,
you can't beat it. Sometimes chemistry is there and the hug is happening and it all feels good.
it all feels good. And touch, touch, when we think about like body to body touch. I love, Will, that you mentioned that the skin is the biggest sex organ in the beginning, because if we go beyond the hands, then one of the things that I've really learned to do as a tantric practitioner is to touch the body with my forearms. Touch the body by stretching the length of the touch and allowing my heart to do the touching, right? The chest, the pecs, the breasts, the nipples, allowing one's hair to do the touching. You've got this amazing, long, beautiful, silky hair. To drape long hair over someone's skin is some of the most erotic sensations you could provide someone.
It is fun. I like to think about my body as like a paintbrush, right? So like my fingers are paintbrushes, my nipples are paintbrushes, and then the forearm is like a rolling pin. So I'm
I
rolling
like
pin. So when
like
I'm
these
playing
metaphors.
when I'm playing with partners or clients or whoever I'm working with, whatever bodies I'm working with, I'm always painting my presence and my attention and my love onto their skin with whatever I'm utilizing. Even if I'm using a flogger, or a crop, it's like that is an extension of my body. And so I am bringing that, that tap or that sensation or that whip or whatever it is to their skin. And when working with oils, it's so fun to play with different smells and different scents and different textures of oils. Some oils are thicker and more viscous, some are thinner and more slippery. And so really starting to think about these different oils and these different toys and beads, different
Objects,
things,
right.
objects are
Feathers.
so fun and sensational. And it's just like, this is our playground. You probably heard me say that a million times. And it really is. It's like, we need to just get in the sandbox and see what happens when we put this water with that sand, and it's really what it comes down to, is just playing and playing with presence.
I love the introducing objects to touch with, like a silk scarf with fringe off the ends of it that you can drape over someone's body. A feather. I love that you mentioned like a crop or a string of beads. Even your breath, a hot breath or a cooling breath. When you sigh, that's a hot breath. When you blow, that's a cooling breath. One of my most arousing types of touch for my body is when, especially like my vulva or something, when someone spreads open my legs and they don't touch me too soon, they allow me first to feel the temperature of the air. against tissue that's often not exposed. There's also something that I love about having some awareness to the different temperatures in the room. Because when you're laying down, let's say on a bed or a table, there's hot spots in the room, there's cold spots in the room, there's the texture of fabric against your skin, there's the heat of someone's hand. So to like feel someone touching the back of my heart with their warm palm, and then bringing my attention to my feet that may feel cool. I just think the juxtaposition can be really interesting. And I feel like by bringing people's attention to sort of sensation on the skin and temperature on the skin, it can drop you into a more meditative state of presence because you have to concentrate on what you're feeling, which causes you not to be thinking about anything else. Like
Right.
you're right there in
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing to acknowledge, and
That's
why
the ticket.
variety is something that one needs to pay attention to, because it's that variety that keeps capturing the person's attention
Yeah.
versus just doing the same technique over and over again.
Yeah, that gets really irritating, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes even a therapeutic massage can be too relaxing if there isn't enough variety to the pressure. Well, that's a little teaser on touch,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah, there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to understand. You can go grab the what do we have, a course on it? It's not a masterclass, it's a full course, right?
I have a masterclass coming up about this erotic touch.
Okay.
So take a look out. If you're not already on our mailing list, go get our free gift on Tantric Kissing. You'll be on our email list and you will find out all about our upcoming masterclasses.
All the
And
goodies.
the next one that's coming up with Dr. Willow and I is Breathwork for Orgasms. If you want to join us for that amazing masterclass, it's happening April 9th. Although it could be the 8th, but I'm pretty sure it's the 9th. We'll make sure it's correct in the show notes so you can have a link to sign up. And those masterclasses are so affordable. I think this one's like $19.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like,
great.
You
They're
have no
super
reason
fun.
not to come. It's an
Yeah.
hour-long training, and you're going to learn amazing, amazing tips to breathing that will quadruple the length of your orgasm, people. I mean, it's something
Who doesn't
that,
want that?
And even if you can't come live, though we always recommend it, there will be a free replay window. So you can watch it if you are busy at the hour of this class.
That's right.
Okay, y'all.
All right, y'all.
We love ya.
Go
See you on
touch
the
each
flip
other.
side.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was hosted by Tantric Sex Master Coach and Positive Psychology Facilitator Leah Piper, as well as by Chinese and Functional Medicine Doctor and Taoist Sexology Teacher Dr. Willow Brown. Don't forget, your comments, likes, subscribes, and suggestions matter. Let's realize this new world together.